Hello everybody, today you see me in our newly redecorated, courtesy of Lemon and Lime Interiors in Chiswick. So yeah, hopefully you'll like it, and for the eagle-eyed amongst you, you'll have noticed the change. Today I'm joined by the duo, that is Shanice and Anita Gandhi. Now they're from a company called Moss Properties, and they've got a story, but actually this is just a story about families and resilience and strength and growth and families, and that's really what matters. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Shanice and Anita. So hello ladies.
Thanks, Sanjay.
So obviously we know the story of your husband Sanjay, and we will get into that, but actually the reason why I wanted to talk to both of you is to talk to both of you, because from every diagnosis of whatever there is, there's always another side to it, and that's the family that's going through it with the person, which we will touch on that. But I'm really interested to talk to you, Shanice, because I think that you were thrust into a limelight of this world 3 years ago, whatever, that really you weren't quite expecting.
Yeah, so it kind of, it made me think, now what? More from the aspects of I was happy with everything I was doing career-wise, where I was living, everything was kind of
So can we go back to where you were then?
Yeah. So working for a PLC company as a senior quantity surveyor at the time, living in Cheshire near the countryside, it was like living in a bubble. Like you'd finish work on a Friday,
Cheshire, hello,
and then through the weekend you're going on walks, going to the local pub. It was lovely, and the life that we had was great. Yeah, we were 2 hours away from you guys, but we made it work, and we just loved the life that we had. And then it kind of changed pretty much overnight. Funnily enough, we were going to Dubai for a holiday. So I'd gone to Yorkshire back to my mum and dad's just to pick up my suitcase, and then I'm going back home to get packed and kind of meet them at the airport. And then when I went home, I got the suitcase, but you said like, oh, we just need to speak to you. And I thought, oh, like, it's usually you spent too much money, or you did this, or you did that. So I thought, but there was just something a bit off. And then we stood in the kitchen.
How many years ago was this?
This was 2023, so coming up to
3 years.
3 years ago now. Yeah.
In
May
May.
time,
So we were all stood in the kitchen and just no one speaking. And then my mum and dad are looking at each other, and I'm getting worried, because I'm like, well, what is it? And then you start getting upset, and then you just came out with it and said, look, your dad's got a tumour. We don't know what it is. We don't know what's going to happen, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
And Dad couldn't really speak for the first time.
Yeah.
And
If anybody that knows your dad, that's quite unusual, isn't it?
yeah, exactly.
I don't think he was comfortable, to be honest.
Well, you said that you didn't want to tell
He
me.
didn't want to tell you, but Shanice and I are so close that I couldn't imagine not telling her. And I said to Sanjay that I needed somebody on my side. I needed someone to be able to talk to about this. And it wasn't, it was not going to be a debate. She had to know.
Of course. How can you keep something like that?
And so obviously, that's what we're like as a family. We're very open. We talk about everything. So I didn't see why this needed to be any different, really.
I think that you run one of the most successful estate agencies in, well,
Doncaster.
everywhere, really, I think. No, you are, though, aren't you? It's very prolific. You've got a great company. You weren't working there at the time, but obviously you were. And then all of a sudden that changes.
Yeah, definitely changes. And obviously that all these concerns pop in your head that, you know, for me, it was all, I'm very much closed book. So for me, it felt like we shouldn't be telling anybody anything because I just wanted to like keep everything to myself.
Yeah.
And I think Sanjay was, but only maybe for the first couple of weeks, if that. And then he just, well, actually that's wrong, isn't it? Even the day he was diagnosed, he had a meeting, didn't he, with Ian McKenzie?
Yeah, so Ian, to be fair to Ian, Ian had travelled probably like 4 hours to get to my dad.
Yeah.
My dad had a call when he was on holiday a week or so before this. Can you come to the hospital? He said, yeah. It's like, do I need to bring anything? No, like, and very, very relaxed to the point where you didn't even go with him, did you?
No.
Because
I didn't know.
They didn't give any pre-warning.
Yeah.
So he goes on his own, and then obviously the surgeon kind of divulges all this stuff. I mean, my dad's pretty switched on, isn't he? So he's like, hang on a minute, I need to record this because my wife's going to ask me a load of questions and I'm not going to know the answers. So can we just go again?
Yeah.
And then obviously Ian's on his way. My dad can't cancel. He's on the way, and he's like, he gets back, and you know, Ian can tell straight away like what's going on. And then, funnily enough, obviously Ian was the first person my dad
all came out.
And now obviously he weren't going to tell anyone else, was he? And then slowly, well, he watched the Sarah Beanie documentary, and she was the same. She didn't want to tell anyone. And then she could see what it was doing to everyone around her by not telling.
I think your life is, it's one of them, because I think anything that goes before in your life, anything, it fades into insignificance, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because it's all relating to that moment in time.
Yeah.
And I think that moment in time has just changed the whole trajectory of your lives, hasn't it? So in terms of you, because obviously you were working successfully doing your bit, you obviously then had to go and run a company because presumably Sanjay's got all this thing going on. So is that like from there to there on a learning curve?
Well, yes, but I'm so different to Sanjay. I found it so difficult. I'm the sort of person, I have to know about every finer detail on everything, and I didn't have a clue. I honestly did not have a clue because we don't work together in his business. I don't work in Moss Properties. I had my own business. So, and I still have my own business. So we worked together, but very separate businesses. So from the day one, Moss Properties, I had nothing to do with Moss Properties. He had managers in place, PA, everybody else. So, you know, he didn't need me for that. No. So, and I wasn't, you know, I never really got involved. So,
but I think the thing is, you felt like you had to get involved. Yeah. But obviously, what my dad said from the beginning is, I almost plan for an event like this to happen. Yeah. Everyone is in a role for a reason. And I delegate to everyone, and everyone's empowered to make the decision in their role because now they should all know what to do.
And has that worked? See, I have a different, in the scheme of life, right? When you sit there, I've been not with the outcome that you, not with that, right? But obviously, I had cancer, and I did that. It doesn't quite go to plan though, because you think that's what it is.
But life doesn't go to plan, does it?
No, so not at all.
I would say it did work. Realistically, it did work.
Everybody stepped up.
Everybody stepped up. The business carried on.
Everyone feels a pressure because everyone's thinking, what would Sanjay do? What decision would Sanjay make? But he always says to people is, yes, what would I do? But equally, what would you do?
I think there is an element of, it doesn't really matter. He will support, I presume. He'll support whatever decision they make because they make the decision because they had to make a decision.
Yeah, and he's always been, you know, he's always been a delegator. He's always been somebody who says, you know, Shanice and I are perfectionists, so everything's got to be perfect. Sanjay, he has his standards, but what he also always says is done beats perfection. And we don't have to be perfect all the time. So long as everything's still running And so long as I don't have to deal with it myself, that's fine.
So, and that's all well and good, having all these people in. But in this moment, so take you back to 3 years ago, that moment in time. So Sanjay's having his operations, doing whatever he's doing. So then in reality, where does that kick in with you two? Is this like, shit in hell, we've got to just do it?
There's things coming at you all angles. People asking, right, what should we do about this? What should we do about that? And I'm just like, I haven't got a clue.
He's got his fingers in a lot of pies, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And I think the stark reality of what happened was we didn't have a clue.
No.
We have a portfolio of properties. We don't even know who owns what's rented, what's up for sale. We just didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
We've got these businesses where we think we know what's happening, but is that what's happening? Then people sending messages, can you check this? Can you authorise this payment? And they're not like £500, it's like £50,000. And we're sitting there at my auntie's kitchen table at 7 a.m. trying to do all this before going to the hospital and thinking, are we doing the right thing? Because we're thinking, we need to know this, this and this to make the decision. And they're like, oh, well, Sanjay usually just approves it. And we're like, does he though? Or are they saying that because he's not here? Or
I can't prove this.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a panic. But even in those times, do you remember we used to go to the hospital and I'm like on tenterhooks thinking, I need to ask him this, but I'm not sure. Is he really up to it? I don't really want to worry him if, you know. But even in them times, he was so in control, weren't he? Like certain things he'd answer and certain things he'll just say to me,
why are you getting involved?
No, he'll say, just leave it. Yeah. What do you mean leave it? They're all asking me for a decision. It can wait. I'll get back to them when I'm feeling a bit better. It's not.
I know we said off camera, my little mantra is this too will pass.
Yeah.
And the crescendo in life, it's a bit like when the VAT is due, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. And you think, oh my God, I've got to move that money, I haven't got the money. But actually, do you know what? It passes.
Yeah.
The crisis passes, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But he was even in those times. I remember, I just think, oh my God, look at you sat there, and I just don't believe. Like, he weren't in a flap about anything. He was honestly just concentrating on himself and getting better and, you know, one thing at a time, one day at a time. You know, that's not important, that can wait. And I've got a list, like, honestly, it's like having a list, a shopping list of things to talk up to him about every single day. And I get there and I'm thinking, right, well, I'm not going to say this one until that, you know, I'll just see how he is.
Because obviously that takes an inner strength. There is a strength there that's beyond any words, I think, from his point of view. And has that changed either of you, how you are as people, do you think, or not? Do you think you are? No. I mean, you know.
Probably not.
You're either not or you are.
I think I try, but I think if I'm really honest, I think I have become.
You don't sweat.
You don't sweat the small
anymore.
stuff.
You used to, but you don't now.
Yeah, and I'm not quite at his level, but I'm much more relaxed. And he always says to me that, you know, you're always chasing time. You don't live in the moment. You're always chasing the clock. Because for me, I think 24 hours in a day, right, what bang, 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 on to the next thing. What can I be doing next?
Do you mind if I ask what your business was?
So I'm an independent mortgage broker. So I've
Well,
always
that's why
worked
you're
in
always
finance.
That's why you're always chasing
Yeah.
time, the clock, and everything else, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. That's the world I live in, the
Yeah.
expectations of clients and just my own standards, I think, more
Yeah.
than anything. And very different to Sanjay. I'm a one-man band, so I haven't got the staff to delegate to, or, you know, it's just me. So, you know, I can't just keep leaving things. I just want to get them done.
Do you know the worst thing is, Anita, you know, when you're there at that hospital, your husband's there, your life's just completely spiralled. But the leveler is, you come out and then there's the person go, where's my mortgage
Yeah.
offer?
Yeah.
You want to go, where's your fucking mortgage offer? I don't care. It's true, isn't it? That's your
Yeah.
massive leveler to me.
Yeah, but you know, to be fair, I think I managed that really well.
Yeah.
You know, I still carried work.
Probably
on
kept you,
working,
probably
but at a
kept you
different
sane, to be fair.
pace, a different, slower pace, and didn't take on too much. But equally, I didn't say no to business.
No,
And people thought I was stupid. Like, what are you doing? I remember my sister saying, what is wrong with you? Why are you working? She says to me, like, what? Your husband's in hospital. What are you doing? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm working before I go to the hospital.
Normality. Do you know why?
And I said that to her, and I said,
Yeah.
I need this. I need the distraction, because if I'm not working, then I'm going to be consumed with this other thing that's happening in my life 24/7.
It's because, and there is an analogy, and I can't remember what it is, but what that'll be, it's because within you, because you are a person who's a perfectionist, right? You have to level things up and to feel in control, because it's a control thing. And the way to control it, because I've got OCD, right? I'll take it away slightly and then I'll come back to you, but I realised that, okay? Because when I had children, I went straight back to work. I literally gave birth, went back to work, because it was easier. I understood it than looking after this baby.
Yeah.
Right? And then everything in my life that happens, it's an event, I think, work. Got to go to work. I can level it out, because that's the thing I can control.
And I need structure in my life.
Correct. And you will control the controllables. Your life's down there, but you can control that.
Yeah.
I remember, I mean, my mum used to say things to me, you know, my mum has no filter, and she would just say, how do you sleep at night? You know, all the things like, how are you sleeping?
Oh my God.
Honestly, like, you know, she's like distraught over everything that's happening. And she's saying, how are you? And how are you coping? And how do you even sleep at night? And I'm like, Mum, I'm fine. Because do you know what? By the time I get to bed, I am absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And that's what I have to be, because otherwise I am going to be laid awake worrying and thinking. But if I keep myself busy, it's good. You know, I can just keep going, because I've got something. I'm always on to the next thing. What can I be doing now?
So then and I see that. So then you, obviously, you'll just be the mom going, Jesus, every plate cracking off here, isn't there? You're spinning every plate going. So then there's you.
Yeah.
And then you're there and you're a little perfect bubble of a Cheshire life.
Yeah, so the Cheshire bubble popped a little bit. We relocated to my auntie's house in London.
So you're with Sam, aren't you?
Yeah, so obviously me and Sam are living in Cheshire. You guys were in Yorkshire. The surgeon that we ended up going with was in London.
Yeah.
So obviously my mum's from London. So we were
I gathered that.
we were looking at like staying in a hotel, because originally they said, yeah, it'll be a whole day operation. You'll probably be here for about a week or two, and then you'll be home. So we're like, all right, okay, like great. That is perfect world. And they're like, no, like perfect's 1 week, worst is 2. So we're like, right, okay, like that's fine. We'll work around it. It's fine. It became 9 weeks and 3 operations later.
Oh
so
my God.
it did get to the point where we're thinking, are we ever going home? And there was times when we'd go to the hospital and like we'd see every single bed in the bay had
And
changed
you've
person.
seen, like, all these different patients coming in and out, and you know, Sanjay's still there in the same place, and you just think, oh my God, you know. And like, it was very up and down, wasn't it? Because his initial surgery went really well. I was in a great, we could be home next week. This is looking really well. And then a day or so later, he gets an infection. He's back in surgery. And it's like, he's almost like 2 steps forward, 10 steps back constantly. But, you know, what do you do in that moment? You can't, you know, I think we've learned that you can't worry about what might happen. You've got to just, you know, take each day.
So
as it
do you
comes.
live your life, take each day now?
Absolutely.
Good for you.
And any
Absolutely.
opportunity that comes up, we take it. And I think that's the difference. Obviously, we were there for 9 weeks, and okay, yeah, some people think, oh, like your life was upside down for 9 weeks. It was, but do you know, one of the best things that came out of it was, obviously there's a 12-year age gap between you and my auntie, and yes, we go and spend time with my family, and we see them on a weekend like every couple of months, but we spent 9 weeks with my auntie and my uncle, and we were close, but we're really close now, and they saw us go through everything. And I mean, there was one day where my dad was just completely out of it. And to the point where we'd got there, and I think it was like a Saturday, weren't it? And he just said, like, I'm just not in the mood. He said, I don't want to talk. I don't want to do anything. And we were like, oh, it's fine. Like, we'll just
Go then.
And then he said, no, like, just go. He said, have a day to yourselves because you're here every single day. You don't get a day off because it's the weekend. So we were a bit like, well, what do we do? Like, we're not working. Like, what do we do? Because this has been our life for like the last 8 weeks at this point. And we booked ourselves into a hotel. We went and had oysters and had a drink. And then I think after about 2 drinks, we're like, all right, we're ready for bed. We were in bed in the hotel at 7 o'clock. We'd washed
You know, when you
our
wash your hair, got a towel around your hair.
We got the dressing gowns on and we just laid there and we were like, wow. Like, just the biggest sigh. And it wasn't because we were fed up or anything like that. It was, we hadn't had a moment for ourselves. Nobody was calling us, asking us for anything. We weren't working. We weren't worried about my dad because he was just sleeping. So that was nice. But obviously, 9 weeks in London. And then, in that time, I only saw Sam once. Not because I didn't want to, but at that point, my dad was the most important thing. And even the one night that I had with Sam, it was just like, I can tell that you're just not... I wasn't speaking. I was speaking, but it was kind of like, well, what you been up to? Like, I'm
So
really
he's like a read the room, Sam.
And obviously he's just like trying to speak to me because we haven't seen each other in like 6 weeks, and we've like spoke on the phone and stuff, and I'm like, I feel awful, but I just I actually didn't want to talk about it because I said it's not anything exciting and it's not nice to talk about, and I just said, and I think it's hard because I'm saying you don't understand. And he's saying I'm trying to, but you're
The problem is no one
explaining.
will understand. Nobody. Unless you're going through it.
Unless you've been through that yourself, it's very
Yeah, it
difficult
is.
to
It
understand.
is. And you don't want it, do you?
It feels nasty saying like you don't understand, and it weren't that he were being insensitive or anything like that. He was being like overly sensitive, and I just said,
Yeah, but even that get on your whip.
yeah, just speak to me as if we were at home and like everything were normal. He's like, but it's not. I said, no, I know it's not, but I just want a little bit of normality.
So so your dad was diagnosed, so when did you make the decision to jump and go to Moss Properties?
So obviously, so the business is actually going to be 20 years in March this year. So the business was set up from our kitchen table way back when. So I've always known everything that they do, and I've always kind of met the staff and things like that. I've been on their Christmas parties.
Yeah, of course.
I've done bits over the
Been
summer.
on the books for years.
I've done bits over summer and things like that. But obviously when I was at Taylor Wimpey, it was full time.
Yeah.
It took up a lot of my life. So I'd been out of touch with everything that these guys were doing for a long time. I was, before my dad got poorly, even when he was poorly really, I went for a job promotion, didn't have to be a manager. And I didn't get it, but that's fine. It wasn't that I wasn't ready. There was a headcount problem. So that's fine. But then, because I didn't get it, it made me want it even more. And then I was like, right, I'm not going to be happy just doing what I'm doing for another 12 months. So what can I do? How am I going to get there?
Yeah.
So I was having great conversations with everyone at work, and the help and advice that people were giving me and the mentoring I was getting was amazing. And I can't fault it at all. But it was pretty evident I wasn't going to get where I wanted to be in the time frame that I wanted. So over Christmas, so Dad came home probably like October, November time. But you couldn't really leave him at all. So I remember one time he sat on the sofa, he's watching the football, and I'm sat there on my laptop and I'm making this vision board. And he's like, what are you doing? And and my dad's like well into that and there's stuff as well. And I'm putting things on there, and then I said to it, and I put obviously a bit of weight on from being away for 9 weeks, and I just wanted to feel better. So I'm putting this board together, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to wait till January. I'm just going to start now. because why wait? I might as well put the wheels in motion now. So signed up at the gym and all these things. And then your best friend came over between Christmas and New Year and stayed, didn't she? And she's like the best person. Like, she introduced my mum and dad. So she's my mum's best friend, but she also has known my dad for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
And she's very similar to my dad's characteristics. And she says it as it is. So we were talking about work and stuff like that, and I was explaining what was going on, and she was like, right, so what you can do about it? And she kind of puts you on the spot, and I'm thinking, well, I'm just, they said this, and I'm just doing this, and she's like, you're saying a lot of things, but you're not actually doing anything. So I was like, oh, right. I was like, yeah, I'll have a think. And then, so then we went to a spa, didn't we? And she grilled me a bit more, and I kind of left it thinking, oh, yeah, what shall I do? And then, so that was like December time. It was my birthday in February, and I was at my mum and dad's house, and she'd FaceTime my mum. And my mum was like, oh, yeah, Shanice is here, you know, for a birthday. Oh, can you put her on? And I knew straight away. I thought, she's going to ask me about my job. And she said, right, so what have you done?
Have you handed in your notice yet? She says.
Don't tell me you're still doing
Did you know that you were going to go to Moss Properties or not?
No. So she were kind of like pushing all this stuff. And she was just asking questions that were uncomfortable. And I said, well, no, I haven't left, because what am I going to do? And she was like, well, you've got a business in your family that's crying out for your like skill set. Yeah. And with everything that's happened with your dad, how have you not had this conversation already? And I'm like, oh, well, he's not spoke to me. He's not said anything. And she's like, if you're waiting for him to come and knock on your door and say, do you want a job? You can forget it. Yeah. She's like, you're going to have to go and say, and have a business meeting and say, how can we help each other? And I was like, oh God, I'm not sure about this. And then funnily enough, that night, me and my dad had a chat and said, right, what would working together look like, and what could I bring to the business? Because my thing was, well, everyone's got a role. How would I fit in? And I don't want you to do it as a favour to me, because I want all these things. I want it to work for everyone. So we agreed what it would look like, and I wrote my notice that night. And
were you worried about that?
Oh, yeah.
I would be.
Just a bit.
No, I would be. You've got a daughter who's got a career.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
know what my husband's like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, the expectations.
Yes.
You know, just because,
Just because it's your daughter doesn't mean she's got a job, does it?
It wasn't going to be an easy ride.
No.
Definitely not. And I was thinking, oh, well.
You're the one in the middle.
Yeah. I didn't really get too involved, though. I could have said, oh, I'm not sure this is a good idea. I could have said a lot of that. But do you know what? By this point, I'd already slowly changed, or was changing. And I was thinking, well, Shanice is old enough to know her own mind.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I'm sure it's not going to be an easy ride. But, if Sanjay thinks that there's an opportunity there for her and the business, then obviously it must be a good thing. And it was going to be a good thing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
To have her closer to
But there's the personal
home.
side of it. It's not about you being capable, because I'm sure you are and more, but it's the personal family life bit.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't worried about that. I mean, obviously, we've always been close, and, there was an element where she was coming back home and living with us during the week.
I'm not about that. I'm on about in work. Nothing to do with
of course.
Jeez.
That was going to be... we have a conflict, even me and Sanjay, even though I don't work in his business.
I could punch my husband in the throat.
Because
honestly, most of the time.
We're both very opinionated, and we're both very vocal.
No.
And as much as I try and not get involved, if I feel something, it's got to come out. I can't just not say anything. I could sort of take the view, oh, it's not my business, and leave them to it. I just can't help myself, So I'm always, sometimes got something to say, and I am in the middle,
Of course you're in the middle.
Clash. Honestly, they'll be having a to-do, and Shanice will be ringing me next, and then he's like, "What? Why
Oh,
are you
yeah.
getting involved?" And, I'm thinking, "Oh no," But it's that balancing act, like you say, it's that juggling and trying to be,
Everything to
reasonable to both
everybody.
sides. These days, I
think
it doesn't happen
when
as much.
yeah,
does it?
when I first started, I was still living in Cheshire.
Yeah.
So when I wrote my notice, it was a Friday night, and mine and Sam's birthdays are pretty close together. So Sam was out for the weekend celebrating his birthday, and obviously I wrote this notice, and it was
Had
gonna.
you actually bothered telling Sam? So Aquarians are great at not saying. I'm an
So
Aquarian. My birthday Monday. My husband's is Tuesday.
Literally, it was like I wrote this letter, and it's going to upheave our entire life. And I haven't consulted him. I've just done it, and even if he says no, I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
So I actually rang him, and he was like very, very hungover, and I said, I'm going to pick you up. And he's like, what? And I said, I'll pick you up and I'll drive you back. We'll drive back to Cheshire together. And it's like a 2-hour drive. And he's like, are you sure? Like, just get on the train. And I said, yeah, it's fine. So I got there, and he opened the door, and I just burst into tears. And he kind of was looking at me like, I'm really hungover and I just don't want to deal with this. So I don't know what it is. And I said, and he's like, what's happened? I said, it's fine, but I just need to speak to you about something. And he's like, well, can it wait till we get home? And I'm thinking, no, I can't sit here for 2 hours.
Oh God, what a man thing to say.
And he's like, and I said, basically, I'm quitting my job. And he was like, all right then.
Is that all?
He's like, and Sam's very kind of like, very realistic, very to the point. And he's like, your life's not going to fall apart if you leave your job. Like, he knows obviously the business that we have, and we've spoken about it in the past anyway.
Yeah.
He was a little bit obviously worried about what it meant for our life. So then obviously the conversation when we're driving home was, well, we can't really live in Cheshire forever because it's a 2-hour commute to work. So yeah, that was an interesting journey home. And then we kind of literally, within 8 weeks, I'd left my job and I was at Moss Properties. I'd kind of semi-agreed I'll do 3 days in the office, 2 days at home, which after about a week turned into a full week in the office because I needed to know as much as possible and learn as quickly as possible, and I weren't going to be able to do that from 2 hours away. I practically moved in 5 days a week at your house, which was challenging, but I was having my tea cooked on the table.
Of course you were. God.
It was great for that. But
have you moved out yet, or still there?
Yeah, but you were bringing things home, and I think that's when
that was the difficult time.
It overspilled quite badly.
Even though the first thing your dad did actually say was, we're not going to talk about work, when we get home. And then obviously it kept
coming up.
Coming
of
up.
course.
And it was hard when you're just like in that, you're all together all the time.
And then so then me and my dad had a conversation, and to be fair, it was quite a brutal conversation because I had a nice car, we had a nice house, and he's like, right, you need to sell your car, you need to sell your house, and I'm like, hang on a minute, like I've just changed my job, and I don't mind change. I wouldn't say I love change, and the way it was kind of coming at me was like, right, get rid of your car, get rid of it, and I'm like, hang on a minute, like let's just go bit by bit. So I said, well, I need to speak to Sam about the house and this. And he's like, well, September's the best time, so best get on with it. So literally within 4 weeks, we'd got the videos done, the photos done. I wrote the brochure myself. Moss Properties sold the house.
Of course I did, yeah.
Of course I did.
Which we were like, let's try it. Let's see if we can do it.
So what does Sam do?
So Sam is an export and sales manager for.
So he could go anywhere.
Manufacturing company. Yeah. So
okay.
in Cheshire was good because we were near the airport because he travels a lot. He's actually from Sheffield, so he's not far, and his family live in Sheffield. But we built this life, and we were so used to it that it was a big thing. It was our first home that we bought together, and leaving it behind was really it was sad. But the change had to happen.
You get more for your money where you live now, though.
Definitely.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. So it all worked out, obviously, in the end, and obviously we've moved since, and we're back in Yorkshire. I mean, we're like 15 minutes away. I'm 10 minutes
fab.
from the office. Sam, if he wanted to go into his office, he's about half an hour away. So it has been better. And now that I've moved out,
When did you move out?
March last year, so coming up to a year.
So obviously, I can see a massive big sparkler on your ring
Yeah.
your ring finger. So when did that happen then?
August just gone. So yeah, we went to Spain, and do you know what? Me and Sam are terrible. We work really, really hard.
You've been together a long time, though, haven't you?
Yeah, nearly 7 years. So
Yeah.
we're both very career driven, and we like the nice things in life, and
Yeah.
we know that to pay for them, we've got to work hard. And you always say to us, and probably more so since everything with my dad, you guys need to make more time to take time out, because sometimes we take holidays and they're not even at the same time, which seems crazy to some people, but we're taking the holiday when the work's quiet, which doesn't always benefit us. So we actually took a week off in August together. I mean, in the kids' holidays, going to Spain was a little bit crazy, but we had the most gorgeous weather. We were on the beach every day, and we just had time, just us two. And yeah, we went on a nice boat, sunset dinner, and yeah.
Wow. Had he asked your dad?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Lovely. So where were you?
I was
Listening
there
at the
as
door.
well.
Oh, were you? Oh.
He'd already tapped me up, I think. Yeah, so no, it was all very, done the traditional
Properly.
way. And yeah, and I think, and you'll have known what Sanjay's like, so it didn't make it easy for him,
Yeah,
even
of
after all
course.
them years.
Of course.
But yeah, it was all very timely, I think.
I think that, from somebody you're probably like your mum and dad, or I was career, and still am, and I met my husband and we were both career orientated. And our dates used to be, I was one end of the country, he was the other. We'd meet for dinner
Yeah.
and then go our separate ways. So it's really, that you are right, it is about time, and it's about just making sure that you take the time together. And that's in
Yeah.
anything, really.
And I think when I had my other job, when I worked for a corporate in the
Yeah.
past, it was always like, God, I can't take 2 weeks off. I can only take a week. I'm going to have too much to come back to. Not that that's any different now, but now that we have our own business and I can control things within my control, and I can put the right people in the right place to make sure that if I'm not there for 3 days or whatever, everything still happens that needs to happen. So, I mean, Sam, he gets to travel a lot for work. So he had a great opportunity to go to Hong Kong, to go to Australia, and then on
Wow.
to Vegas. So it's like a 4.5 week long trip. In my old job, it would have been absolutely not. I wouldn't have even asked. And the dread that I would have had, even thinking about asking for it. Not that they would have said no, they wouldn't have been happy, but I couldn't have been away from my
But they
job.
could have said no.
Yeah. But we did it. We went away. We were away for 3.5 weeks, and I'd never been to Australia before. I'd never been to Hong Kong before. I met up with Lisa and Mark Novak in
Absolutely. I
Australia.
saw it all on LinkedIn.
I just think now, like any opportunity that we get, I want to take it with both hands. And if we can do it together, we 100% will. I mean, Sam, like right now, I won't see Sam now till my birthday, and we're meeting in Italy.
When's your birthday? Oh my God!
Yeah,
When's your birthday?
Next Friday.
What date's that?
No, not Friday. Next
Sunday.
Sunday. It's because I'm flying on
What
Friday.
date's that?
15th of Feb.
Mine's the 9th.
So just after Valentine's.
Nice.
But yeah, he's working away in Milan. So he said, right, it's your 30th. We're going to have the weekend
Oh
in
my
Lake
God.
Como. So
Yeah.
yeah, really nice.
Isn't it odd how your life, really, you are now thrust in a limelight that you never ever courted in the world of estate agency, which then brings us back to a conversation we were talking about off camera
Yeah.
about how the world of properties and the estate agency world have done that in your family,
Oh, massively.
haven't they?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, Moss Property is part of the guild, and there's a lot of people in the guild that are very close with my dad and know my dad. So a lot of them obviously reach out to us when he's poorly. Before I kind of started at Moss Properties, I did go to a guild conference, and it's what we spoke about earlier. Like, that's nearly 3 years ago, and I didn't really know anybody, and everybody knew my dad. So it was kind of everyone coming up to me, how's your dad? And I'm like, I don't know who you are. And then they're introducing themselves.
Tomorrow, when the Guild conference is on, it will change, it will switch, and all of a sudden, you will be there, and you'll be there in your own right, which is a testament to you, because having a dad like your dad, you've earned every right to be at that table, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I've always felt like imposter syndrome to a degree, and then when I took the role, I very much didn't want it to be, I've only got it because it's my dad's
It's not
company,
nepotism.
and
It's not nepotism.
yeah, and I think even when I was going to uni and stuff, I was very kind of, I do not want to go and work for my dad, because I want my own thing. And I want my own career, and I don't want anyone to say, oh, well, you only got it because of this or that. So by doing what I did, I do think has benefited me, because I've learned so many like things about myself that I didn't. I lived away from home. I moved to 4 different places, which you'll remember packing me up 4 times, and in the snow, in the sun, you name it, we had it. And I rang my dad once, like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And he said, you've got to do it. He's like, it'll make you a better person. I was like, you can't just give up. He said, what? He's like, what is so bad that you don't want to do it? I was like, I just don't enjoy it. And he's like, but you've got to keep going. He's like, because you will find what you enjoy. And I did. And then when I was leaving,
It wasn't the work you didn't enjoy. You don't. It's like what you were saying earlier. You're not a fan of change, so she didn't like the upheaval every 6 months, being moved to a different part of the country, having to find a new place to live, making friends and connections all over again. And obviously, as a mother, I'm like, well, you got to do this. It's a massive opportunity. And like, I'm a big believer in life that things are difficult, but if you don't try, you'll never know. And the worst thing you can do is not try and then think, oh my gosh, I wish I'd done that. So I've always said, like, just do it, Shanice. Always saying yes. If you hate it, absolutely, you can leave. But, you know, you've got to say yes to the opportunity.
Obviously, I've really only, your radar is the last 3 years really is when sort of, you know, that little person is sat at that, because I remember being at that conference.
She used to say to me though, like, oh my, you don't understand how hard it is to move every 6 months and this and that. And I says, right, what's really hard in all this, Shanice? Just explain to me, what is the top of the tree? What's the most difficult thing? Finding somewhere to live, because I can't live in a, you know, an awful place and this and that. And I says, right, do you know what, Shanice? I'm going to find you somewhere to live. Every 6 months, you just tell me where they're moving you to. I'll sort that out. What else? What's? Oh, it's going to be very expensive. You know, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. I says, fine. You know, if you're short of money, you know where I am. Yeah? So what else? What else have we got left? Well, that was it, you know. So
I think that you have just got such a fantastic career ahead of you, more than you realise, I think.
Do you know what? And I can, it's weird, like, if I look at myself 3 years ago, I would never have thought I would be doing what I'm doing, where I am, with the life that I've got and the people in my life. Obviously, in the last probably 18 months, I started doing a lot of work within our business with the guild and kind of reaching out to different suppliers and things like that. And that was never something that I thought I'd get involved in, but I love that side of it.
You know what's great, Shanice? You're 30 years of age in a few weeks' time, right? Your world is absolutely your oyster, and now you're just rising, and it's just amazing to watch, to be honest.
Thank you.
So, and then there's your mum juggling every place behind you. She'll be there pushing you up the hill. You're going. So, what's next then, do you think?
What is next? More growth for me personally, I think, and for our business.
Yeah.
Obviously our big wedding that's going to come up.
No, huge wedding. Let's face it, huge wedding.
But I just think more of the same. I know that sounds cheesy, but more family life, more of those this moment is everything, because there's one moment, and it still sticks with me now, and you'll probably have the same.
Yeah.
When my dad got diagnosed with his brain tumour, we were going to Dubai, and we were like, do we not go? Do we go? And the surgeon said, look, there's nothing that's going to change in a week, so you might as well go, because I can't tell you when you're next going to be able to go on holiday. So we went, and we made it a conscious effort, and we all agreed before we got on the plane, we don't talk about it. For 1 week, we don't talk about what's going to happen next.
Yep.
We just live for what we have this week. And then we were talking about things that we'd like to do on the trip. And I said, I'd really like to do a boat trip, just us three. And there was one moment when we were just literally sat on the front of this boat in the middle of the sea, watching the sunset with music playing. And
Bit of a Titanic moment.
It was just like, nothing beats that.
Yeah.
And now I feel like those are the moments. So everything I work for now, I want that moment.
Yeah.
And taking time back out is really important. But supporting all the things that are great. So I'm part of the board of Women in Estate Agency now.
Yeah.
And everything that we're doing as part of that is amazing. And for me, one really big thing I want to see is more younger people coming into the industry, because
Younger people than you.
yeah, because do you know what? I just think people have so much potential, and I didn't know much about the estate agency world. And like you said, I kind of got pushed onto this platform.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to expect. And now that I'm here, I want other people
The thing
to
is,
experience
you
it.
are the perfect age
Yeah.
to be, and the perfect person to do that and bring those
Yeah.
people on. Do you still do your vision boards?
Yes.
See, I do vision boards all the time. And I'm actually doing a thing for Stephen Brown on vision boards.
Oh, really?
My kids are 27 and 28. They live their life on vision boards.
Yeah.
Always have done and always will do.
Yeah.
Because I do. Do you do it?
No, I don't.
Sanjay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a massive advocate for it, because I think if you want it, you get it. And to be fair, if I want something, I get it.
And
Yeah,
to be-
I do too.
I think I don't think you do
probably-
vision board. I think
don't-
You do goals. Though.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's
like,
the same thing.
Yeah.
It's exactly
I might
the same
not
thing.
document it,
Yeah.
but it's
But
there.
see, my view is, and that's whatever it is. So
Yeah.
I do it in December.
Yeah.
So every New Year's
Yeah,
Eve, here or there, I get a sheet of paper and there's a photograph, I'm going to show you mine, with me, my husband, my two girls on it. And then we just talk. And then I write it down. And then I either put it on my fridge, except for it's a bit weird when the cleaners rock up, or used to. But I've got it right by my computer at the minute. And every day I just look at it.
yeah.
Because I wanted to, talk about the Gilded, talk about the Esters.
Yeah.
Because I know you went to, I wanted to win the
Yeah.
Esters for the UK, and I did in 2022. No, then it was a now what moment.
Yeah. And
'Cause
so I
that's-
think it's great for that.
It's great because it's like, yeah, okay then,
Yeah.
done that.
Yeah. I actually end up setting mine as my wallpaper on my phone.
Yeah, for me, it's just a big thank you to everyone that has reached out to myself and Sanjay, offering support these last 3 years. It has absolutely meant the world to us. And if we can help anybody else going through anything similar, we would be more than happy to help others, because it's absolutely invaluable. And the last thing is to say, everyone, just take a moment to make memories with your loved ones, seize the opportunity and do absolutely everything that you want, because unfortunately, life isn't a given and we don't know how long we're here. So we need to make the absolute most of it.
Shanice and Anita, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
I
Thank you.
wish you the very, very best of luck and nothing but
Thank you.
fantastic times. Thank you. Obviously, if you are a woman in a estate agent, or even if you're a man in a estate agent, so you're a young guy in a estate agent, and want to talk to somebody of your age and not these old fossils that you see, reach out to Shanice, because actually she's the very person that should be talking to you. And estate agency world is fantastic. This podcast isn't just for estate agents, but it's for anybody that's sitting there with an ambition. And whatever you do, whether you are stacking shelves in Tesco, and there's nothing wrong with that, or anything at all, just remember, the power's in your hands.